Hello YouTube, this is Alston with the securitycameraguy.com, and today I want to take a few minutes to answer the question, where is security camera footage stored? Now you can find the complete article over at the securitycameraguy.com, but I just wanted to quickly answer this question. Before we get going, make sure that you hit the like and the subscribe button so that you can receive notification when I put out a new video. Alright, so let's get started. Where is security camera footage stored? This is actually a picture of an NVR, which stands for Network Video Recorder. And that's one of the four ways that you can store your security camera footage. Now, the four ways are in the cloud, on an NVR, a DVR, which stands for Digital Video Recorder, and on a local SD card. So let's take a few minutes to talk about those four ways. And when you store something in the cloud, basically it's stored on someone else's server or hard drive. For example, the Ring device, when you store it in their cloud, it's actually an Amazon S3 bucket, is what it's called. But it's Amazon S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. So you're storing it there. When you use an NVR, there's actually a little hard drive inside this metal box that can be the hard drive can be as large as 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes. A DVR, digital video recorder, is very similar to an NVR. The major difference is the type of input that the DVR and NVR accept. An NVR network video recorder accepts Ethernet cords, whereas a DVR accepts either a BNC connector or it takes a standard coaxial cable. Now there are pros and cons to using a DVR and NVR. My personal preference is an NVR. As I mentioned, that's what is listed, or that's what's in this picture here. And then the fourth way to store footage is on an SD card. Usually there are those tiny little SD cards. I wonder if I have one. So this right here is an example of an SD card. The SD cards are actually micro. They're even smaller than this. But then again, there are benefits, pros and cons to using an SD card as well. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons of each one of these ways. So first, cloud storage. The nice thing about the cloud storage is it can be accessed from just about anywhere in the world, as long as you have an internet connection. So let's say you wake up one morning and your home or your security camera is in California, but you're in Bangladesh. As long as you can get online, you can look at the cloud storage, you can see what's happening, you can kind of monitor what's going on. So that's pretty nice. It can be accessed from anywhere. Another nice thing about using cloud storage is that you don't have to worry about the hard drive. That's kind of someone else's problem. Usually with physical hard drives, they're going to fail or fill up. And so you always have to be cognizant in the back of your mind, what are you going to do in the event a hard drive fails or fills up. Some of the downsides of using cloud storage is you might have to pay a monthly fee. For example, with Ring, you have to pay, I believe, $10 a month if you have multiple security cameras, and so that can add up, or that's a cost that you don't necessarily factor in until after you've purchased the camera. And so while $10 a month doesn't seem like a lot, if you have a camera or multiple cameras for 5, 6, 7 years, that can become quite expensive. That'll actually outprice the cost of a PoE system or a CCTV system. So that's something to be aware of. The other downside of using cloud storage is if you use the cloud storage through, let's say, Ring, which is Amazon, you don't really get to manage that storage situation. Amazon or Ring tell you the duration that an event or recorded session will stay on their server, and then they just delete it. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to manually download all of those older events and then save them to a hard drive. Currently, Ring doesn't have a way to do like a bulk download to download everything that's happened in the last 3 or 4 months. So that could be an additional pain. You'd have to go through and manually click download on every single file until you've got what you need. So that's something to be aware of and something to consider. Now with DVRs and NVRs, they're nice because they're local. You control the you control the hard drives, which is nice. You can make decisions as to what you can keep and what you can delete, and how long to keep stuff. So that's nice. The downside, though, is if someone breaks into your house and they steal the DVR NVR, unless you backed it up to the cloud or you've backed it up onto a different hard drive, you've lost that. You've lost that recorded event. So let's say your DVR, your NVR, they record a break-in occurring. The guy, the burglar, the thief realizes or sees that you have a security system. He goes through and finds it, and he just unplugs the security system and he takes it with him. Now you're without any way of identifying the thief. So that can be a negative. Another negative is if there's a power outage, unless you have a NVR or DVR that has battery backup, you aren't going to record anything during the power outage. It is susceptible to power surges, so that's something you'd have to be concerned with as well. Another downside to using the DVR/NVR is ultimately your disk is going to fail. It happens with all hard drives. Eventually, they just stop working. It's man-made. It's going to happen. It's not going to work forever. So the question to you is, what are you going to do once it fails? Because when it fails, usually you lose everything or you lose a large portion. You have to have a backup plan in place so that when your hard drive fails, you don't lose everything. So that may require you to back up things to a different hard drive. You may wind up backing stuff up to the cloud. That's probably the best option, is actually creating a backup schedule and backing up your entire hard drive or piece of your hard drive to the cloud. Whatever you do, you need to figure out a schedule so that when your hard drive fails, you have a plan. Another downside to using a DVR or NVR is what happens when your hard drive space fills up. Here you have to make some decisions. Are you going to move that those events or that recording to the cloud? Are you going to move it to a separate hard drive? What are you going to do with that? Are you just going to simply pop out the old hard drive and pop a new one in? Or are you going to set up your security camera settings so that once the hard drive space fills up, it just starts overwriting the oldest data? There's some things that you need to think about when using a DVR or an NVR. As I said, there are pros and cons to all four. The fourth way, as I mentioned, is the SD card. And that's nice because it has a little bit of local storage. It can be popped in and out, so you could pop it out and you could put it in an SD reader, and you can then download that information, and then you can upload it to either a hard drive or to the cloud. But a SD card is kind of a lot of work because you're constantly having to pop it out, put it on something else to read it. In the meantime, you have to put a new one in, so it actually kind of gets expensive. Are you just going to hold on to it? There's a lot of things that you have to think about when you are using an SD card. So really, those are the four different ways that footage is stored. Personally, I like the cloud storage option just because it's always there. So places like Ring and Amazon, they have your events saved in a couple different places so that if one hard drive crashes or fails, all is not completely lost. As I mentioned, the downside is you may have to pay a monthly fee. And there are even some security camera companies out there that don't charge for cloud storage. That's nice, but usually those companies have a shorter cloud storage plan. For example, some companies won't charge you for cloud storage, but they will only keep the events for 90 days, which I guess is good and bad. If nothing happens in that 90 days, there's nothing to worry about. But if something happens and you're on vacation for 2-3 weeks and it takes you a while to figure it out, you may have lost your evidence. So that is really it. That answers the question, where is security camera footage stored? Once again, this is Alston with the securitycameraguy.com. Head on over to the securitycameraguy.com to take a look at some of the different blog posts that I have on security cameras. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel so that when I upload a new video, you are the first to know. And I would love to hear your feedback on this video as well as any other video that I've posted. I always welcome the feedback. So once again, this is Alston from the securitycameraguy.com, and thanks for watching.